Hey everyone, it's Rob Foglia and Jessica Klein with Foglia Properties at Keller Williams here in Nashville, and we're coming to you live to give you your June market update. It's June, and let's answer that question. How's the real estate market? You ready to jump in, Jessica?
Yeah, well, and I love that we're starting with this graph here because it's a side that we don't normally talk about very often. This is the pending sales in our market. So all the homes that are under contract, a buyer has found a home, and it's on the way to being officially sold. And we can see over the last couple of months here, I mean, it's really been, well, I mean, the first part of this year, tons and tons of homes are being sold and all these buyers are finding new homes. So that's fantastic. I love seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows how strong the market truly is. Like and we'll look at some of the stats that we look at on a monthly basis here in just a minute. And yet this does show the demand, and it shows how homes are selling so quickly. I mean, it's I know there's that narrative that's out there that that's the media sometimes pushes, or any other real estate agent friends might push out there, that it's a tough, quote unquote, tough market. And guys, homes are selling. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Homes are selling. It's a great market right now, and this just goes to show. I mean, we've never seen, just going back at the history of Real Tracks, our system here, we've never seen this many homes pending at once. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's 8,900 buyers that have found homes. So if you're a buyer out there, don't feel like it's impossible. I mean, there are absolutely homes to be bought. I mean, we're even writing an offer today, and we penned another one last week, right? So it's absolutely, there are homes for you.
Exactly, and that's just the buyers that you're talking about as
Yes,
well.
yes.
And so, absolutely, there are homes out there. And speaking of homes, though, let's look at another trend line, because as we've talked about before, this is the best market we've ever seen for home sellers. And there's two sides to the, like, a supply and demand equation. This is the demand side. You see, there's demand. You see, there are people wanting to buy homes that are out there. That's hence the all-time high in terms of pending sales, in terms of buyers that have said, yes, I'm going to buy that home. Well, this is the other side of the equation, the homes for sale, the amount of homes that are actually available that are out there. And you can see here in the entire MLS, so our entire system, there's only 7,600 homes for sale. Just for reference point, last month we were talking about how 11,600 was basically an all-time low. That's dropped even more. So
Yeah.
again, the second side of that supply and demand equation, the supply side, it's low supply. So high demand, low supply, strong sellers market, right?
Yeah, and I think a part of this conversation that we don't talk about very often is in a standard market, or in, a market that's not quite so low inventory. You have a lot of homes that go on the market and then just sit, and they sit and they sit and they sit. So either they're not priced correctly or whatever the reason is. And in this market, that type of home just has kind of disappeared. So even though we see such low inventory, all these people are able to buy homes because it's just, everything that's on the market is selling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's a product of the demand and the low supply and low interest rates, which I know we don't talk a ton about on these videos, but just low rates continuing to be basically at an all-time low, or hovering around that all-time low here over the last year or so. All of that combined is what creates this market activity, the market conditions, I should say, for the activity that we're seeing. Let's look at, and this is probably one of my favorite things to look at when we look at these statistics, and that's months of supply. And let me zoom out all the way, just because you'll see kind of a constant, or kind of like a repeating bell-shaped curve almost going throughout the years. Jessica, do you want to explain this, or you want me to?
Which part? I guess you go ahead.
Just what this is. So basically, this is showing that when we talk about months of supply in real estate, it's not saying how long it's going to take a home to sell. Like back in what is October of 2011, it wasn't taking 10 months for every home to sell. It was just saying that in 2011, if no other homes hit the market, based on how quickly things were moving, it was going to take 10 months for all of those homes to go away. Fast forward, and that was a strong buyer's market in 2011. Fast forward 10 years later to May of 2021, and there's 1.3 months of supply out there. So that means if no other homes were to hit the market between really now and forever, then in 1.3 months, every home that's for sale is going to be sold. And the reason why we talk about this is 6 months is a balanced market. So right in the middle of this graph, that the middle horizontal line is what we consider a balanced market. We haven't been in a balanced market in almost a decade. We were hovering close to it a couple of years ago. It was getting close to getting to that point, and now we have just seen the market just go into an even stronger seller's market than we've ever seen. Like, these are the statistics that make us say this: if you're a homeowner wanting to make a move, this is the time to do it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, okay, Rob, now that we know that, we have 1.3 months of inventory, which is really like all the homes in a snap are selling, what's the advice you would give people?
Well, here, let me show you. It sits right here. My old buddy Dwight Schrute is saying, hey, if you've been thinking about selling your house, when is the right time to do it? Do it now. Because the reality is, and I'll just jump back to the graph here, but I mean, the reality is, oh, sorry, wrong tab here, but the reality is that there's less inventory right now, less homes for sale right now than there's ever been. And we just saw that in terms of the homes for sale. There are more pending sales than we've ever seen. So what was the low homes? The low homes for sale is what? Limited supply. The high pendings is high demand.
High demand, yep.
All of that combined is creating the lowest months of supply we've ever seen. So the market conditions that are primed for sellers to get what they want. And that doesn't mean you can get, if you have a home that should be worth 400,000, that we're going to get you $1 million. That's not how this works. But what it is saying, that home that's worth 400,000, we likely can get you at least that. I mean, we're seeing, I read an article earlier today that said, I believe it was more than half of the homes sold last month, according to NAR, the National Association of Realtors, had sold for above asking price. So I mean,
which is pretty amazing, because I mean, I don't think that everyone knows what homes generally sell for compared to their actual list price. Usually in a standard market, you're looking at 98.5%, 99%, something like that. And now we're seeing 100, 101. So it really is a different situation. So again, like you said, we're not talking about 200% of ask price or 130%, but that's 4% difference could be, that's pretty big difference.
Well, just take a strong market, but not like the extreme strong market. Maybe like middle of 2018. That was a strong seller's market, but not like 2017 was probably the strongest seller's market we saw until now. And so just take 2018. Just for July of 2018, the average sales price to list price for our entire MLS was 98.8%. So that was very strong. You go back to where it was more of a balance to a buyer's market, we're hovering around 97%. And now, I mean, you can see how this graph has just gone through the roof. That you see, I mean, again, all-time high that last month, the average home. So this is not just an anomaly. The average home sold for 101.4% of its asking price. And so that's telling me two things. One, if I'm a home seller, again, I'm gonna rely on old Dwight Schrute here to say, sell now, because if this is the time to take advantage of the market in a good way. You're not doing anything wrong when I say take advantage. But I'm saying take advantage of the market conditions, that you're primed for a win, like cash out that winning lottery ticket, so to speak. And this is also telling me, the second thing this is telling me is that as a home buyer, if you've got to be serious about buying a home. You've got to be willing to, and when I say overpay, you've got to be willing to overpay a little bit. And when I say overpay, I don't mean that you should overpay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more than the home is worth, but you might have to go a little bit above asking price. You likely will. I mean, on average, the average person had to go 1.4% above asking price, according to this graph, for all homes that sold last month. And so you're likely going to have to go a little above asking price to become a homeowner. If you're not comfortable with that, it's all good. Sit on the sidelines right now. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe wait for the conditions to calm down a little bit.
Now, remind me again, Rob, for every $10,000 in a mortgage, about how much are you looking at per month?
I mean, it depends on interest rate, but just simple, easy math, roughly about $60 a month. So, and again, it's going to depend on your interest rate. Don't just quote me on that and make all your life decisions on that. But if you're like, say you're looking at a home that's $300,000 and you say, you know what, we've got a little bit of extra money. If it'll appraise for it, we're happy to go up to 310 on this property. That's about a 3% difference if I'm doing the quick mental math. So that's above what we're seeing here for the average. And that's going to cost you about $60 more a month. Again, depends on what your rate is, depends on a lot of factors, but again, roughly $60 more a month. Most households can figure that out. Maybe it's it's eating out less once a month, and then that's at $60. I mean, most people can find that in their budget, and sometimes that's what it takes to get that home. So so don't let that limiting belief of, well, hey, I don't want to overpay for a home. This 101.4% that we're seeing, that scares me. I don't want to do that. Don't let that stop you if it's simply a monthly payment standpoint. If that
Mhm.
am I making sense here?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And, a lot of times, even paying that extra $60 or whatever it is each month will still lower your payment compared to rent. So it's still worth a conversation, just food for thought. Anyway, if you want to have any of these conversations about buying, about selling, there's no obligation to talk to us. It's completely free. You don't have to climb any mountains or sign any paperwork to talk to us and get advice. Just, please start the conversation because we want to make sure that you're in a good place for what your goals are. And we'll show you all of this for any areas that you're interested in.
Yeah, exactly. And Jessica, thank you so much for saying that too about the no obligation part of it. And I won't go into the whole story real quick, but just before we sign off our video, I did a quick 3-4 minute video the other day on our Foglia Properties Facebook page. So not on my personal page, like all these show up, but on our Foglia Properties page. So go check that out if you're interested. But we did this video because I ran across a property that as a person I had talked to a couple of years ago. I didn't really know the guy, but I recognized the address and all that. So I looked it up and I saw that he had sold his property. Long story short, what did the video end up coming to the point of that he basically, because he didn't reach back out to us, didn't say, hey, can I at least get a second opinion on this? It cost him about 5% of the home's value when he did what he did, basically. And go check out the video. I'm probably not doing it justice right now with this quick 30 seconds instead of 4 minutes. And yet, again, a quick phone call to us to say, hey, give me that second opinion, please. Like that could save you. I mean, what's 5% of here, just to show everybody what the average sales price is in our MLS last month? $430,000, 5%, and that's like 20 grand. And so, I mean, to me, it'd be worth 20 grand to get a second opinion, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You sold me.
Well, good deal. Well, again, if anybody, just like Jessica said, if you have any questions, reach out to us. No obligations to have a phone call, to have a conversation. You can reach us 615-591-5665. You can, if you're watching this live on Facebook or seeing the recording, drop a comment and we're happy to answer your question that way. You can PM me as well. You can email us info@foliaproperties.com. And I think that's it, right?
That's it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.